We've talked before about ideas for homeschooling when you have preschoolers in the mix. But most of those usually are for when you have several older children whom you are homeschooling. What do you do when your oldest is just starting homeschool and you are just starting homeschool and you have preschoolers along for the ride? Let's talk about that today. Welcome to the Simply Charlotte Mason podcast. I'm Sonya Schaefer. Joining me today is a very special guest. It is my daughter, Ruth Smith. Ruth, so glad to have you.
Thank you.
Thanks for agreeing to come on this lovely thing, all the cameras and lights and everything, but You're good with it.
Yeah.
You're usually on the back side of the cameras.
Yes, usually.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about homeschooling. Well, first let's talk about who you are and your family.
Who am I?
It's a philosophical discussion. Let's talk about your family. If you would just tell a little bit about your situation, I think that would help.
So I've got 4. Right now we're in 3rd grade, 1st grade, and have a couple of preschoolers. But when I started, it was, it started formally homeschooling. I mean, I started with my oldest being 6, and then I had a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. And I quickly learned that you can have a really good plan on paper, but the reality of it with little ones especially, your day just doesn't go the way you imagine it.
It's like they didn't read the paper.
Exactly. Yeah. In your head, it's easy to just think this is great. Everyone will be on board with this. Nobody will have a bad attitude or an emergency or conflict. And it's hard to exactly put into words what it is that's so challenging about getting through the day with multiple little ones. But it is challenging, even without school. So I remember when it was time to add in school, I was so intimidated because it was already a challenge just to get through the day and maybe add one extra thing. And now I was looking at adding 4 or 5 extra things every single day. So we started slow. I started just adding in tentatively one thing at a time. I was finding my feet. My oldest was learning how to engage with it. So it was new for all of us. And I started just trying to be strategic of tucking it in here and there as I was able to. But it looked kind of weird. Our day just was weird. And I had in my head that the picture that I wanted was this sort of, okay, it's time for school. And then we sit down and we rotate through short lessons. It doesn't take long. Just do the variety of subjects. And then the main part of school for the day is done. But I could not figure out how to achieve that picture with the little ones in the mix. At that time, I had the 4-year-old and the 1-year-old. And the 4-year-old and 6-year-old would play together. They were best pals at the time. They did everything together. And so taking the 6-year-old out of that was shocking for both of them. The 4-year-old didn't know what to do. And then also at that time, the 4-year-old and 1-year-old hadn't figured out how to play together yet. They didn't have those skills. There was no precedent for that. And so I couldn't just say, well, you two play together while I do this. It was very complicated for all of us.
That would just cause more conflict that you would have to deal with.
Right, exactly.
Trying to tell them, well, you guys just go play together.
Right, that wouldn't work. So instead I had all these separate, the 1-year-old was used to having my attention, and then the 4-year-old and the 6-year-old are used to being with each other, and so it was just a big upsetting of what was normal. So
did you try tucking things in during nap time? Like, let's get the 4 and the 1-year-old off, and then I'll do this during nap time?
I did sometimes. I know using nap time, because we would have that afternoon, everyone takes a rest time. So I did try utilizing a little bit of that, but I couldn't take the whole time, because, first of all, I really needed that downtime too.
Yes.
Especially with pregnancy, chronic illness. I absolutely needed some downtime to make it through the day.
Exactly.
And then my 6-year-old also really benefited from having some time alone because otherwise we're together all the time, and just everyone benefited from downtime. So I couldn't take that whole time.
Right, right.
So it was just, a little bit here, a little bit there. I didn't know from one day to the next how exactly it was going to work. I don't know, it was like trying to dress a cat that's running away. You do it, but you don't know how exactly.
It's not pretty.
Right. And so I kept thinking, I want this picture I felt like that was the goal to achieve, the school time where we just do school, please. But I couldn't find a way to achieve that wasn't disregarding the needs of my preschoolers, my toddlers, who were also born persons.
That's true.
And they need attention and care and all of that. And so, I don't know any 1-year-old who can be okay without you for 45 minutes, even if it's only 45 minutes.
Oh,
that's,
yeah.
You're lucky if you get 20 minutes, and you can't predict when that might happen. That's a miracle if they wander off for 20 minutes.
And then you're not sure what they're doing. So,
Well, yeah.
But
So-
that is a huge idea that you just dropped there. That when we talk about respecting the child, it's not that respect starts when they are 6 years old,
Right.
starting school. We're also respecting them all the way through. That's a key thought. Wow.
Yeah. So I wrestled with this. We made it work, but all the time I felt like I was subpar. I wasn't able to achieve it. And it's easy to start looking at your young ones as the barrier to your goal. Because if they would just,
Yeah.
if they could,
Yeah.
and then something occurred to me that completely changed it for me. I looked at my students and realized that I've been thinking about how to have a Charlotte Mason style homeschool with these preschoolers in the mix. And then I went, I have 1 in grade school, and I have 2, and then the next year 3 in preschool. So what I actually have here is a Charlotte Mason preschool with a first grader in the mix.
That's such a shift. I mean, it just turns it on its head.
Absolutely.
And then it becomes clear.
Yes.
Wow.
It gave me permission to embrace the preschoolness of our days.
Yeah.
And now suddenly I could say, yes, this is our preschool. We're going to take a couple hours to just play in the morning. We're going to do all these things that the preschoolers need and want, and you're already trying to do with them. And your first grader is in that as well and benefits from all those things. And then you're just leveling her up here and there as you're able to kind of work around your preschool schedule. So it's small, but it felt like after trying and trying for months to stand on my head, I just decided to stand on my feet instead.
No, it makes sense. It is instead of I am teaching a first grader and I want the preschoolers to fit in where they can. Now it is I have a preschool with 3 students and I am tucking in extra things for my first grader as it fits.
Right. And if anything,
switch.
she's more adaptable because she's
That's
older
true.
and can go with the flow a little easier.
Yeah.
And, it just worked so much better to think about it that way.
So let's get a little more specific about those preschool activities, because when we say we have 3 students in preschool and we're adding the first grader into the mix, we're not talking about free play all day long.
Right.
Preschool.
A lot of free play. But,
Yes, and that's
Yes.
important.
Yeah.
The free play is very important.
yeah. And it's still important for your first grader, too.
Yes, that's right. But I know that you had other things that you included because we created our preschool life for you guys, for
Right,
your
right.
kids,
We got to
our
test
grandchildren.
drive it.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if our listeners realize that your husband is Doug and Karen Smith's son, and so the other half of Simply Charlotte Mason, the Schaefers and the Smiths, we share grandchildren.
Right.
So we created our preschool life for them, and it's just little things, easy things, really, that you can tuck in to a month. we would give a picture to look at and just talk about the picture. It's like, what do you see? We give short classical music pieces to play with, to listen to, and
those are
move
very
to.
popular at our house.
Are they?
Yes.
That's so good to hear. Folk songs as well, preschool type classic songs that they like to sing. There are stories to read. Every month they get a new book, and I've seen the books at your house, and it's always fun when your children come to my house and see those same books, and it's like, well, we've got that book. Oh, I like that book, and that. They don't know that I'm choosing those books for them. I love that. They have a Bible story. They have a poem. They have a rhyme. They have 2 nature friends to look for each month, and little stickers to put in their nature notebook when they see those friends. What else is there? Crafts.
Ideas, crafts. There's ideas for math concepts,
Yes.
ideas for playing outside, which time outside is another big thing.
Yes, yes. And there's the option that a person using our Preschool Life can add in the reading kits and the handwriting stuff when the student's ready, as they get older. That's one of those things that your older student you could tuck in here and there as your student's ready for it if you want to. But our Preschool Life itself gives you all of those little, and not even, I mean, you could do it daily, but it's open to using those activities as they fit into your schedule, your
Right.
unusual, not regulated, though you try to have a basic
Right,
framework,
we have a basic
routine,
framework, but what happens between the framework is,
life.
yes, you never know from day to day how it's going to go.
A lot of life happens when you have 3 preschoolers and then your 1 grade school child. So that's what we mean by focusing on the preschool and bringing in the first grader on the side. It's not just free play all day long.
Right. There are also, preschoolers are going to be, hopefully, helping you a lot with the day-to-day chores and
Yes, that's
helping in
another
the
part.
kitchen and things like that. So lots of playing time, fitting in some of these things like listening to good music and looking for nature friends outside, helping around the house, because they're just kind of shadowing you at that point. And you can involve them in all of that.
Yeah, and we have the chores included in our Preschool Life, as well as habits to work on. Those are in there. So yeah, it becomes a way of life, really, which is what Charlotte Mason is.
Right.
Those are wonderful benefits to focusing on the preschool. And your first grader is still reaping those benefits, looking at those good pictures, hearing those stories. Did you require then, like when you read aloud one of the tales with your preschoolers, did you then require your first grader to narrate it?
No, not so much. I saved the narration requirement for her official first grade school, those kinds of things. Any kind of preschool stuff she joined in on, it was more informal. This is the no pressure area, you know.
Yeah, which was good for her. She would really
and she knew
appreciate
what to expect then, that there were certain times that I was requiring a little more of her, and then other times where she was welcome to just join in.
So that's the main concept, and that's the idea that flipped everything on its head. Well, actually flipped it off of its head for you.
Standing right side up now.
That's right, yes. Can you give any practical tips as you worked through that? And I realize it's going to look different for each person.
Right. Yeah. Every family is going to find different ways to make it work. I do think it can be helpful to be, if you have lots of young ones, you have to be strategic. So I recommend thinking about what is the hardest subject for you to accomplish with your first grader when there are preschoolers around. What's the one that's most challenging, the hardest to deal with interruptions or whatever. Find that one and then try to match it up with whatever part of your day the preschoolers are typically less of a distraction. So that could be, using a little bit of the nap time. It could be if they'll sit in the high chair and eat a snack, if you have a certain snack time, maybe match that up. You can think about the timing, like what time in your day is good, because again, it doesn't have to be that morning school time. You can use any part of your day. Location, you can also switch around. It doesn't have to be at the table or in a schoolroom. It could be in the living room. It could be if your preschoolers will like play with a play kitchen really well. You can sit on the floor nearby while they do that. Maybe even in the bathtub. If they'll play in the bath, you can read a lesson or do something with your first grader while, nearby the bathtub if they're not too loud. Or like a water table outside. Or if they're pretty chill in the car, if you've got a regular drive as part of your week, maybe you could work an audio component into that. The key, I think, is to look at what you're already doing, what's already normal, and try to match up that way. Because it's got to be sustainable. You have to do this every single day. So you can't go all out trying to spend a lot of energy, or at least I couldn't spend a lot of energy setting up a bunch of stuff for the preschoolers to do so that then I could get 10 minutes with the first grader. One common advice, of course, is to have some toys that only come out at school time or when you're trying to accomplish something. So something that they don't have access to all the time, you can bring down for them, and sometimes that can help.
Did that work well for you to do that
I
at times?
I still use that at times, but a trick with that is it can't be too special or interesting, because then your first grader
I want to play with that.
is going to feel extremely left out. They have to do this work while their siblings get to play with something really cool. So it can't be too interesting. It has to be something that the first grader also has access to at some time, is usually how we worked that out. And then one big thing we used was extra math manipulatives. So we had, we have the kit where they're the beads and the buttons and the coins and the craft sticks. And I would often, when I was doing math, with the first grader, I would let the preschoolers have one of the other batches of manipulatives, and they loved that. And it was stuff I was already pulling out, so I don't have the energy to go like set up a fancy thing for them. I'm just grabbing what we're already using. Right. Another huge thing is we use the whiteboard slate, and I have an extra one with extra markers. They love that. Day after day. We're using it for years, and they're not tired of it. I'll let them, if you can trust your little one with markers, keep them nearby. They can draw, and then that just keeps everyone sort of on the same page. So keeping things simple with using what you've already got out, if you can, like math manipulatives, or even just paper and colored pencils. Older ones may enjoy, like 4 and 5-year-olds may want to feel like they're doing some school too. So if you're able to give them like a little bit of a handwriting sheet that they could practice on, or do a little bit of math with them, that often helps them to feel included.
They probably want to be involved in the mental math.
Yes.
Jump into
Sometimes I have to stop. I'm like, no, this one's for your sister.
But that's a beauty of to phrase it this way, the one-room schoolhouse, even though it's really a one-room preschool with a school grade in. But that one-room schoolhouse, the little ones are going to be picking up on those things too.
Yeah, exactly. And they may be ready for it sooner than your first one was. So yeah, I encourage everyone to think about what they've already got and what they can use, and just be strategic, be creative, keep trying. Things change so quickly. You'll find what works, and then a few months later, it's not working well. So you often have to step back and think it through. Okay, what can I try?
Because those little ones grow.
They
at
grow
such
and they change.
A quick pace, yeah.
Right.
So re-evaluating, that's a key regularly throughout the year. It's not, like you say, you may not even get through an entire school year.
Right. It's a matter of months, and now suddenly everything looks different.
Yes.
So, keep trying. Don't give up. It really is a special time for your first grader. You're opening her eyes to so much more. I don't remember the Charlotte Mason quote exactly, but about it's not so much what he knows as it is
How much he cares
how
about
much
what
he cares,
knows.
and,
Yeah.
and putting them in a
And the-
broad,
Yes,
what
a
is it?
large
In
room.
a large room.
Set his feet in a large
yes.
room.
So you're
Mhm.
starting to introduce her to this large room,
Yeah.
and it is a special time. So it's hard, but it's worth trying, and it's okay to not achieve that beautiful picture in your head. You may get there one day. And I'm starting to get there as everyone is getting older, and now I've got a couple in grade school, and now we're a little bit more half and half, and it's working.
Those are great ideas, and I appreciate you sharing from your experience for everybody to be encouraged that it doesn't have to look perfect, and it can look different for each person, but yet what you have walked through has some wonderful help for other people as well. And so what you've shared today might be just the thing that somebody else needs to keep them encouraged and keep them going.
I hope so.
Thanks so much. If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.